Welcome to the Elite One Recruiting Show. Okay, welcome back to the Elite One Recruiting Show. And, we're here to help young people, men, women, anybody who's aspiring to get to that next level. And, today with me is, my co-host, Richard Stewart and Kayla Davis. Kayla is our technical director and, for the platform. And Richard is our director of evaluations. And together we're going to be trying to help a young man and assist a young man in his journey, recruiting journey. His name is Leandrae Henry-Dacoste, and along with him is his mom, Arlene. And Leandrae is a junior/senior, depending on how this COVID classification works out for him at Bond. At Bond Private School as part of P.H.A.S.E Academy. Kayla and I both have opportunities to train him. So, we got some great feedback with him on that level. And Richard definitely going to give his experience as to, where this young man can go, with his talent. So entering our studio hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Arlene and Leandrae.
How are you?
Very good. Hope everyone's doing well. So obviously a good opportunity for me to, you said, put myself out there, and I'm enjoying it. And hopefully we get stuff done. Hopefully it's a productive session.
Absolutely. So we're going to let you both start off by just introducing yourselves, or talking about yourselves a little bit more. Give us a little bit of background. You don't have to go deep way into it, because we'll ask you some questions, but so we can start now with that.
All right. So my name, as he said, Leandrae Henry-Dacoste. I am a junior/senior. This is my senior year in Canada. I came to Bond Academy in grade 11, started with their basketball program, the P.H.A.S.E basketball program. And ever since then, I've been with them. I've met people like Wayne, people like Kayla, a lot of other coaches who have helped me sort of work on my potential that I have as an athlete, as I started very late with basketball. I mean, the first time I played rep basketball was in grade 10, and now here we are in grade 12, and I've just been getting better and better. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
That's great.
And Mom?
Arlene Henry, mother of Leandrae Henry-Dacoste. Like Leandrae said, he started a bit late in basketball, but he went to a camp and fell in love with the game and said, "Mom, I want to do this. I think this is it. I think this is the one. I've gone through so many sports, tennis, swimming, soccer, and I feel basketball is calling me, and I want to do this." And as a mother, I said, okay, we can do this. We've done everything. We've tried everything, and I'll make it happen. And we're here. He's been at Vaughan, grade 12 now, and it's been a great experience for us both, and he's really enjoying it. And I see where he's excelled. And to become a more confident young man, and I'm very happy about that.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, let's. I just like to start by saying that starting the game in grade 10 is that's one thing. That you don't really hear of that decision being made that late to enter a new sport.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like to hear from you, what was it that made you decide to switch, from either the other sports or activities, and what was it about basketball that you said, hey, this is for me, I want to switch into it?
Well, I would say all my life I had been involved with basketball in some way. As I said, whether it was rep or whether it was just going out with friends or playing in the park, there's always been a part of me that has been with basketball. And I think when the decision came to go deeper into it and really commit myself to the sport, I said, okay, let's do it. I just kind of dove head first into it, because I have seen where other people have gone with basketball. I've seen the heights that they've like risen to and what they've achieved. And I said, okay, whether I'm starting late or whether I've been starting since, yay high, like I can still do it.
Mhm.
And that really helped me move forward, because with basketball, the only thing you can do is really move forward and just grow. And I have a lot of potential and talent, as I said before. So that's what really made me get into the game, whether I was starting at grade 10 or not.
Okay. And Richard, what do you think? What advice? What's the pros, cons, any drawbacks? Entering the game.
You know what I'm hearing, and is from mom saying that I support him, and I want to give my son an opportunity to pursue his dreams, and that's important to have that support behind you and your family. The second thing I hear from not seeing you playing and everything is that you sound like a confident young man, a humble young man, and appreciative of what folks have done for you, and that humbleness and appreciation for what people have done for you will get you far in life, whether you do basketball or not. So I want to first say that for both of you. I hear such great things from my experience in being around people in sport. How do they get far? A lot of people have talent, but you have support and you're humble and you understand. And that, I think, will get you far. In terms of you being able to play the game starting at grade 10, there's a lot of players, Leandrae, who have started late. Siakam started when he was 16. Who plays for the Toronto Raptors, Pascal Siakam, serious basketball. So, it's available to you. A ton of players have started late. It's available to you. The thing that's different with them and you, I don't know how tall you are. How tall are you right now?
6'3".
6'3". Those guys were typically more 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" players and up. However, there's been a few players who have done it really at your level. The thing that I think is going to help you is that you have a great trainer in Kayla who has done it on a high level. She's technically sound. She has a mind for basketball. I find myself when she's evaluating something, guys, I'm saying she's saying exactly what I'm saying. Like, what's going on here? It's like we're twins.
Yeah. So
you have someone who I, as a guy who's played at the highest levels, trust and respect. So you're in the right place. Now, how do you do this? You have to have the mindset of every single day, I have to outwork the person who's out there working harder than me. And there's a dichotomy there. I have to outwork the person who's working harder than me, which means you're always working, which means you're sleeping the game, which means it's raining or it's snowing outside and you're shooting the basketball in the air. If you lay on your bed, you're shooting it in the air. It's raining or it's snowing outside and you're in your balcony dribbling the ball. It's raining or it's snowing outside and you're in your basement doing push-ups. You put your gloves on, you go in your garage, if you have a home with a garage, and you're dribbling, you go back inside, you get warmed up, and you go back again. Singular focus, because yes, you may be behind, but your work ethic trumps talent sometimes. You're on the right path. The things you're saying to me, I hear them. Now, do you get enough sleep? Is your diet good? Those are some of the things that are important as well. The opportunity will come because you're on a platform. You're with Wayne, you're with Kayla. There's going to be opportunities. You're going to get opportunities. Can you maximize them in this COVID time, in this short period of time? It's yet to be seen. But I am enthused by what I hear. And as I hear more from Kayla as we go forward, I'll have some more insight. But young man, you're on the right track.
Thank you.
Awesome. And you know what, Leandrae, this is something, for me and Kayla, give you a little bit of feedback just directly as two people that have worked with you, is that, I've always said that I do believe that athletes can start late in the game, especially if they have an athletic background, that if you've never been an athlete and just starting basketball, that's a different story.
Correct.
Right? The fact that you've had an athletic background, it helps you. But the skill development side of it now means you're going to have to work twice as hard to sort of make up for lost time. And even the IQ side of it, which, some of the things I'm going to sort of defer to Kayla to discuss in terms of the impact of those things if you don't, starting them late. But for you coming into the game, what has been the most difficult things that you found in terms of developing as a basketball player, since you sort of jumped into it? What are the things that,
I would say that sometimes, especially when I was starting out, that it's where you can see the gap between who has natural raw talent and the people who have just been working, who might not be as talented as the people who, as I said before, have that raw talent, right? And to that, I would say that yes, it's obviously good to have talent in any sport, but if you can't work with that talent and like be a hard worker, then hard work can outshine talent. And if you work hard with that talent that you have, then you can be the greatest at anything that you do. So when I started, that's what I saw. But now that I'm in grade 12, I've really gotten over that and just kept working hard this whole time.
Okay. Well, from a technical, and I appreciate that. You can tell that you are very, like you're insightful, in terms of understanding, yourself and your journey, which is huge. A lot of people don't have that type of
That's true.
Of ability to sort of self-assess, where they're at in their journey. And that's going to be really helpful. And Caleb, so, from a technical standpoint, coming into the game at his stage, what are some of the things like advice and, or insight can you give him just in terms of from a technical aspect?
Yeah, so let's clarify, what position are we having him at right now in terms of in-game?
Well, we're trying to get him to the shooting guard position, and at the very least like a slashing sort of like wing, sort of like a little bit of a hybrid. And I'm saying that because by default, he came in as sort of a post player, almost like that. And that wasn't our doing. I think that was a product of whoever was working with him before, and that's so transitioning him, further from the basket, to at least get him to a slashing wing, and then eventually to to a two guard position at least, in the time that we have available.
Okay, so good to know, just for that clarification. And in terms of, I'll give you a twofold kind of answer. As even a small forward type of position, regardless of height, you'd probably be a little bit undersized at that position. But in terms of being a small forward, the skills that you're going to want to work on and have a really good understanding of, as Wayne first of all mentioned, is being able to finish at the rim and putting the ball on the floor. If you're coming from kind of an experience of playing a post player where that's not emphasized as much, and even with working with you, when we do the ball handling drills, you're doing them great, but I can see a way that we could take it to a next level where that confidence and that level of comfort is something that's going to be necessary for you to feel confident in putting that ball on the ground. So putting the ball on the ground and being able to get to the rim, and just in general, you move well laterally. So I'm not concerned about how you're playing defense. Like, I've seen you get up, I've seen you dunk the ball, I've seen you block people in terms of things like that. For me, the offensive side of your game, adapting it and transitioning into something where instead of having your back to the basket, you're moving further onto the perimeter. And that's something in terms of Richard, when he was saying these taller players that have started a little bit later, it's a little bit easier on them, and sometimes because they're not asked to do as much. If you're going to be put into a 2 or a 3 position, your level of ball handling and your confidence and your ability to score and be creative is going to be slightly more demanding in that aspect. So with that knowledge, your level and intensity towards your workouts are going to need to reflect that. And there's going to be a level sometimes of impatience on your end, because it's definitely a harder transition than what you could potentially be doing if you were 7 foot and you're just stepping into a center role. But it's 100% possible. But you just got to open your mind to the prospect of having some times where people that have been playing the position that you're playing for years, it's a product of experience that they have, but that doesn't also always equate to being a better player. That's right. So we could just focus on your current state and what we can do with that. And why I truly believe from seeing you and watching you play that there is a tremendous amount of ability. We can continue to use the word potential, but I would like to kind of stray away from that, because it's making it, sometimes it kind of negates the fact that you're already doing well. And for me, I've only met you this year, so I don't know how much you've improved, but from talking and hearing your mom and you speak, I can only assume that you've improved from the 10th grade to now. So less of potential and more of like, let's just say, what are we going to do with it now and your abilities, right? So that's about it.
That is awesome.
That's great.
And for me, you know, the thing, Leandrae, that I've seen in you since we started is there is a confidence. You know, when we went down to Jersey, and remember we played that post-grad team, and I huddled you all up, and I was like, man, these are grown men we're about to play. These are post-grad, and we actually had one or two players, you know, that they didn't even want to get on that court. You had no issues, and you were out there blocking shots and mixing it up, and so that's where I saw something, you know, like that could easily now help, you know, put you at a next level, and allow you to be able to adjust to be able to competing at a next level. You have to have that fearlessness of, you know, of the unknown, of, you know, that's the challenge ahead. But interestingly enough, I think the thing that may be hurting you as being new to the game is how you give yourself credit, you know, in terms of, you know, how when you get discouraged, because some of the things are not coming to you as quickly as some of the ones that have been playing the game for a long time. You know, there's new terminology, you know, just even the terminology of, like, you know, where to be on the floor and positions and stuff like that. That's still very new for you. So other kids are hearing rotate here, this, help side, that, this, that. They're hearing these things and they're not even thinking twice. You know, you're still processing those things as you're hearing them. So there's all these things that are happening to you that you're learning on the fly. And I think sometimes you wear that discouragement and it affects your next possession or your next rep. And I think for you right now, that would be definitely something I would say that is being a little bit more forgiving to yourself, and letting that possession go. Just let it go and bring all that great confidence that you have and just bring that into the next rep and the next possession. Right?
You know something, Wayne? Let me ask Leandrae a question here. Leandrae, when you're playing, regardless of who you're playing against, tell me one thing that you have difficulty with. And I'm going to break something down for you from what I heard from Wayne, from what I heard from Kayla. Tell me one thing that you have difficulty with. Be honest with yourself.
Okay. One thing that I have difficulty with.
When you're playing, when you're in a game, how's the guy guarding you? This guy stops me, blah, blah, whatever it is.
One thing that I would say, whenever, say, for example, if I'm guarding someone and they score on me, that next possession where they have the ball again, I might sort of back off and not go into it because I'm afraid that might happen again. That's something that I struggle with. Even when
No, that's perfect. Don't go any further from there. That's what players who are playing NCAA basketball, I get called from kids at night or during the day, and these kids are playing NCAA Division I, and they'll call me and say, you know what, this happened. Coach, what do I do? That was perfect. Here's what I want, and it's right on to what, and you touched on right where I'm going to go with you. From what I'm hearing what Kayla and Wayne are saying, here's what I'm going to help you with. Focus on your defense in terms of being able to get playing time. And when coaches see that, when coaches see a kid that hustles every single time, when coaches see a kid in the passing lane denying, when coaches see a kid playing ball and man defense, and the terminology I understand, but if you can focus on stopping anyone that's coming at you or in that situation, then a coach will say, okay, you know what, this kid is valuable. Because when the game comes down to the crunch, the coach already has an idea who the scorer is, where he's going to have them have the ball. But they know they need to stop the other team's best scorer, and that's why you'll get extra playing time. So I'll recommend to you, defensive-wise, so I'm sure Kayla has you doing skipping and lateral drills and stuff like that. If you focus on your defense, you'll get extra playing time. In terms of you backing up, that's normal. You know, if he drives by me the first time, I'm going to back up a bit because I didn't gauge his speed properly. That's what happened to you. You didn't gauge his speed. You're too close. So now what you need to do is hand length away. That's as far as you need, and push him to whether he's right-handed or left-handed. And you've got to figure that out, right? And that's how you attack that. So in terms of the next play, your mindset has to change to, okay, I've learned what that was. Just like if you shoot. So defensively, we're talking about defense. I've learned what he does. He's fast. Okay. Hand length away, push him to his left because he doesn't drive to his left well, or vice versa. Okay, son? Push him to the sideline. Don't be straight up on him. So that's one advice I can give you from what I'm hearing. The other thing about shooting is this. And I'm touching upon what I'm hearing Wayne saying about what you're doing, what you just said about your mindset. No one stops everybody. No one ever does stop everybody. People will score on you. But what you have to understand is that when your time comes, you're going to be prepared. So if I shoot the basketball, for example, I look to see where it went. Did it go left? Did it go right? And people who've been playing for a long time will do this. And I'm going to give you an insight so I can help you right now. When I shoot the basketball, did it go to the left or to the right? Did it hit the front rim or the back rim? Yeah. Then I make my adjustments. So I'm going back on defense after I missed a shot. I'm thinking, okay, next time down, I've got to move it over a little bit. I never get discouraged, son. And those two things are the things I think, from what I'm hearing from these two guys, that I think will help you. And it's just from years of me playing against professionals and playing against countries, national teams, and Olympic teams. I know it, so I'm trying to help you, because you're an intelligent kid. I can tell that by the way you speak and how you articulate what you're saying. If you can get those two things down, your defense, and understand that the next play is your play, then I'm hoping this will help you a bit. Okay, son? That's from what I'm hearing from these two guys. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what are your thoughts on some of that feedback you got from all three of us? You know, initially with your thoughts.
I think it's all accurate. It all applies to me really well. And the next time I do step on the court, I will make the changes, even if I might not have the experience of, playing the game for however long. But no, all the advice is very relevant, and it really applies to me, especially if I want to get a higher level.
Okay.
Well, I want to share something with you also that, because I think who you are as your own sort of your own trainer, your own coach is so important. Especially, it doesn't matter what stage you enter the game in. And Richard shared it one time, and it brought me back to myself. I was so driven to work hard, on my own, and finding ways of working hard on my own. And I had, the privilege of being part of that Steve Nash era with the junior national team program and all that. And that's when I really understood that, that I just wasn't, I still wasn't there yet. When I saw Steve working, it was just another level, it's a whole nother level that by the time I got to practice, that was really just like a touch of just a taste of the work that was going to be done for the day, for the week. And I didn't really fully understand. I worked extremely hard, but then, I saw Steve and I was like, whoa, okay, I'm still not working hard enough, because I'm going to work really hard in that 2-3 hours where I'm with the coach, and I may put in a little bit more extra time on my own. But what I heard Richard describe in terms of what he did away from practice, and what I saw Steve do away from practice, was a whole nother level. So my thing is, for you, Leandrae, my question for you is, do you think that in terms of the amount of work that you do away from practice and the guidance of, Kayla and our other trainers and coaches, do you think where's the balance, do you think, for you?
Where's the balance? I would say that, well, when it comes to, in terms of balance, I mean, hard work, you really cannot work too hard unless you're about to burn yourself out. You really can't work too hard. And especially in my scenario where I'm entering the game late, and I have to, as you said, work twice as hard as some other people that might also want to get to where I have to go. When it comes to hard work, there's really, you really can't work too hard. And obviously you need to take rest days and make sure that your body is in peak condition so that you can keep going as hard as you can. But when it comes to working hard, as I said, in my case, I really don't think that.
Good answer. Good answer.
Okay, great.
Good answer.
Can I just say something here?
Yeah, absolutely, please.
Sure.
I think what I just heard, the question, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hearing you asking, if when he's not in training with everybody, how much training is he doing off the court, so to speak? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Does he feel? Do you feel that you're putting in enough time on your own when you're not in training? I think that's the question.
Okay, you know what, Mom? Let me give him a quick scenario.
Okay.
Leandrae, I'm in grade 11 and 12, and I'm the best player in Ontario. I'm already on the junior national team. I get up at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I go for that 3-4 mile run. I then sprint in the soccer field 20 times, jog the soccer field 20 times. I jump up on the football stanchion, I do chin-ups. I'm on the grass doing push-ups. I'm sprinting the 100-yard dash. I jog back home, eat some cereal, get some banana, get my lunch together, go to school. I have practice after school for 2 hours. I then get my homework. I'm on the bus doing the homework. I go to the gym, lifting weights, playing basketball with other guys where they're playing. I'm going back, getting some sleep. That's Wayne is saying, do you understand that even if I believe, and I was a really good basketball player. I'm the best player. I put in that work, even though I was that good, even though I had scholarship offers, even though I was on the junior national team, my level of work was, I was tearing it up. You know, that's what Wayne is trying to get to. Do you understand that? And do you do anything other than when you're at practice? We're trying to get to that. Your mom is right.
Mm.
You know?
At that intensity, maybe not, but I do still work outside of practice.
Okay.
Whenever I can. I make sure. Obviously, I said hard working is important, but like I don't overwork myself. If you say, for example, you get injured or something, what are you gonna? You can't really do anything other than that. And if that's a result of you working too hard, then I wouldn't want that.
But here's what I'm saying to you, son. You're on the right track. We're not trying to say I'm a fanatic for this game. You see my energy. I'm still this way. I'm a fanatic. I still got it. I'll still play. I'll still do everything at 100%. I'm just saying to you, we're just trying to explain to you that we care about you. We've seen people do it from where you're at. We're trying to give you a hint. You got to work harder. You got to do more. And we're behind you. That's all we're saying. So don't get apprehensive, don't get defensive. We're just saying, you ain't got to be me. You don't have to be Wayne. You don't have to be Kayla. You have to be you. But we're trying to give you an insight into what the work is going to take. And we're behind you. And you can do it.
I can actually interject in terms of, even at your point in playing basketball, there's another valuable thing you can do other than physical and skill-wise, and it's just watching the game.
Yeah.
Watching the game, and even honestly, if you play video games, if you're playing 2K, stuff like that, now that I was in a position where I was making this course for the recruiting platform, I didn't ever really think, and I wouldn't have ever put it down on paper and broke down the things I broke down, because you don't really think when you're playing that you're learning stuff as you go, right? So even if I'm playing is one way you can learn in terms of that, but also watching and looking for the right things. So that's another thing you can do that is not necessarily, especially in this frame where you're not all out to get in the gym as much, or the outside weather doesn't permit. You can really fall in love with the process in terms of watching a lot of film, watching highlight videos, which is not necessarily terrible, but just watching a lot of basketball. And really, I think of what Richard is kind of just continuing to drive the point home is, like, for us, and in terms of people we've seen get to that next level, is it's an extreme desire in terms of the love for the game and a willingness to put themselves out there to get there. And I always tell kids, if you're having a hard time in terms of enjoying the process now, once you get to that next level, it becomes even more strenuous, and it becomes more like a job. So right now, you can do yourself a favor. Like if you're doing an interview or you're applying for a job, it's like, hey, I can go in with this minimal experience, or I can do everything in my power to make me either overqualified, or when I go step into that interview, I feel confident in that. So just think, and if you have any questions in terms of that, I'm always free in terms of giving you feedback in different ways you could potentially work on your game during this time that isn't always physical, because it helps in terms of your understanding. So,
yeah.
I agree with that, and I agree with the recommendation that sitting and watching the game, it's just as important. It's really like, it's all about visualization too.
Yep.
Because when you're in that game, you're actually still visualizing, seeing plays, and understanding the plays, so you can use those plays when you get on the court. And again, if you use that visualization when you're with what we're having right now with this pandemic, even in bed, and you mentioned about the ball. It's like eating, it's like sleeping, eating, and just eating the game, even in bed, and visualizing all those things that you have issues with. Okay, he just scored on me, but I'm seeing it in my mind that somebody's scoring on me. How do I react next time? And I'm visualizing this, visualizing. It's just as strong. And I think now with this pandemic, we should use more visualization because that will help.
Yeah.
Oh,
Two things. I just wanted to say two quick things, just to not to interject too much, but just when it comes to what you're saying, that course that we're going to have available soon, I think will be a great tool in terms of we really break down by position the qualities and skills we value for that specific position. So even scenarios where regardless if you're a shooting guard or small forward, I break down defense. And when you see the plays that they're making, it's not only just watching, but now we're going to pick up very specific things. And that's something when someone comes to the game a little bit later, it's not that you don't understand, but now you can pick it out when you watch. So it's not, oh, he got beat. But now let's watch how he plays defense next time. Like what Richard says, like, okay, now you could tell that he took a step away in terms of that spacing. So if he does drive by him, he's able to shift in front of him, and also close enough that he shoots, he can close out. Right. So the nuances and things like that. And I just really wanted to bring up the fact that we have something like that coming in terms of IQ and things you can work on while you're at home.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah, that course, I'm really excited about that course. Kayla's put a ton of work into it, and it's phenomenal. And unfortunately for the athletes at Bond, they're going to get the first crack at it, which is going to be great. And before we switch topics, I do want to say to you that it is tough as a young person, I think, in this era, because you do have a lot of access to skill trainers and skill development type programs. But one of the things I think was a little bit different for me is I had access to a lot more role models that did it with me.
Yeah.
It was a lot different because I didn't have skill trainers.
Mm-hmm.
But we had old heads that just worked out hard.
Yeah.
And we were sort of indoctrinated into that by default. We just came in the gym and they worked, and our peers were like that. I mean, Bobby Llewellyn, Bobby Cordell Llewellyn, his older brother, Rock Llewellyn, two of probably the greatest basketball players we've had in Canada. I mean, I remember walking into this Trimby court, and they were having runs, and in between the runs, while Bobby wasn't on, he was running a man up the stairs on his back. In between, and to get to those games with those runs, we all rode our bikes.
Yeah.
I lived in Bobby lived. I think he was downtown. So we rode our bike miles, and then two, in between games. So there was these role models and examples of what hard work looked like.
Yes.
That I think it's somewhat missing now, because a lot of what young people see now is guided instruction.
Yes.
Okay, do 5 of these, do 20 of these, do 30 of these. And so sometimes it makes it really tough to understand, well, what does it really look and feel like, this hard work that we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, any thoughts on that? Like Richard, those old days runs, and what those was like. Is that accurate in me saying that?
It's absolutely accurate. And Leandrae, that's what we're trying to convey to you, is that we're trying to give you an avenue into what we did to make it and how it will help you, that you're not the only one in this. You're not alone in this, that a lot of us had to go through some tough stuff. So our moms and dads never drove us anywhere. Don't even ask. Right? So we're running to somewhere, biking to somewhere, busing it to somewhere, begging a ride to somewhere. And we had to do that and then play the next game after. You're lucky if you had a sandwich with you. You're lucky if you had a banana with you. So we're trying to explain to you that adversity and the tough stuff you're going through now, son, we've done it too. Yeah. And then we have come through the crucible, that tough stuff, and you can do it too. That's just basically what we're saying. You know, we're with you. We're with you, and it can be done. Okay, son, it can be done.
And just so now, I want to just touch on the realities of what your challenges are.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we're in the midst of a pandemic, and you know, a lot has changed in terms of your ability to get that guided instruction, and get the access to the things that you need. Just wanted to hear from you, like, you know, how has that affected you, and you know, how's that changed the way you sort of maybe your daily approach or your approach to your development?
It's been pretty tough. I have to lean on myself a lot more than maybe you guys may have had to, as you said, with you had role models, right? As you said, when it comes to our age, I've had to, especially now, I've had to like lean on myself a lot. But I think the things that BP1 has put out, what Phase 1 have put out, have really helped me, like, especially now with just getting that guidance that I need.
Good.
That is awesome. And Mom, how about you? You know, sort of, you know, I could, is it tough as a parent? You know, I mean, it probably is, but as a parent, sort of watching them trying to reach this goal, but now all of a sudden they have these massive obstacles that are placed in front of them, and you know, you're trying to help them over each one. You know, what's it like from a parent perspective?
Well, yeah, this is different. It's very different. It's for me, you know, I keep asking myself, you know, what can I do? Is there anything else I can do, you know, to make this feel a bit better, feel a bit normal? Because there are no games. You know, you're not on the court. You know, you don't have a yard where you can shoot and stuff like that. So it's been hard. It's been different. You know, a lot of self-doubt in myself. You know, will he make it this year? How can we? You know, it's just been a challenge. But you know, to come in sometimes and see him doing his daily practice with BP1, it helps because at least I see that something is happening. But this pandemic has really, for me as a parent, has thrown a wrench in everything, you know, and you wonder what will happen.
Yeah, that's tough. And I mean, yeah, and we're trying. I know Kayla's been leading a lot of our online training. You know, we have a few trainers, and you know, and we're trying to try and figure out more ways. But you know, one of the things that we do want to encourage you that there is a lot of young people in the same position.
Yeah.
And you know, we had a guest previously that's been playing, you know, women's professional basketball for a number of years, and she brought up something that really, you know, like is sort of sums it all up. Is like it's really about preparation meeting opportunity. Yeah. That's all. You know, it's staying ready. You know, as you said, like that's really what it comes down to. It just keep on refining and learning how to stay ready, and you know, understanding what stay ready looks like, because it is a marathon, not a sprint. And along the way, there's other people dropping off.
That's right.
They're struggling. You know, they're struggling academically. They're struggling to maintain, you know, a competitive edge in their training. And it's kind of interesting. So, you know, if the race right now is like, you know, Leandrae, if you're behind in the race right now, what the pandemic is actually going to be doing is, okay, well, you're a great student. Well, there's a lot of people falling off academically.
That's right.
And that's going to impact their ability to be recruited. And there's a lot of people who are not connected to great trainers and that are trying to maintain their level, and they need it, and they're falling off.
That's right.
And there's a lot of people who don't have that sort of inner drive to do that.
Yeah.
They're falling off. So it's actually, if you really look at it, as difficult as it is for you, your ability to persevere through it is actually giving you an advantage, because some of those people ahead are falling behind.
Mm.
That's not me rooting for other kids to fail. I'm just saying it's
just how it is.
How it is. Okay, and if you could get some more help, here's another question. If there's more that could be done to help you, whether that's just you helping yourself or us helping you, like, what is that more that could be done that could help you out?
Well, right now, although I said, that I had to rely on myself more, I think right now with my inner circle, including you, of my mom, that everyone's doing a good job at supporting me. But when it comes to more, I can't really think of a lot just off the top of my head, because I can recognize everyone's support, and as you said, you guys are just behind me and trying to support me. I can recognize that. So when it comes to more, I can't really ask for anything else except for you guys to just keep doing what you're doing.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Nice.
Well, okay. Well, we're going to throw some more at you anyway. So,
Can I ask?
Yes, please.
Is it possible, and I'm just throwing this out there, I know that we have to do our own, and as human beings is whatever, we're responsible for ourselves and stuff like that. But in terms of where there is the training that's done, is there like maybe another sheet, so to speak, where the you can have, okay, so you know what, off training, this is what you need to do off training by yourself. So that, sometimes we like where we can tick things off tangible. Okay, you know what? I've achieved that, and I'm good now. I know that I've done my extra. Is there anything like that that's available for somebody like Leandrae, just to motivate and to push even more, so that that individual is doing the extra?
Absolutely, there is, and we'll put that. I'll definitely make note of that, and I'll speak to Kayla, because yes, we are coming out with a course, and we didn't know how long this, the lockdown and how long it's been, and that really sort of threw us off as well too. Just the ability to plan, but I think regardless of whether we come back today, tomorrow, in a couple of weeks, it's becoming pretty clear that we're going to have to give exactly what you're saying, give something additional, and so we'll definitely take care of that. Richard, on top of what Arlene just shared, that we need to get her and to help support Leandrae, is there what more can we give him, and advice, direction, resources,
Yeah, the stuff. Let me go over and summarize, Arlene, what we just said in terms of watching the game. When I was growing up, when Wayne was growing up, we watched Magic Johnson, the way he passed the basketball, the bounce passes he made. So we knew how to feed the ball into the big guy by watching him do it. Simple things like that. Just a great example, just watching the games, seeing what people are doing that will help your game, number one. Number two, we talked about the fact that you can't get, it's wintertime, you can't get out to a court. It's doing the dribbling stuff. If you have a balcony, you go downstairs, say to your neighbor, during about 30 minutes today, I'm going to be doing some dribbling on the balcony. Can we get you to do that extra stuff on your own? Are you doing push-ups on your own? Those things, you're feeding your mental state by watching and learning, and you're doing the physical stuff as well. I'm sure Wayne and Kayla will have a program put together for you that was going to help you further. That's what I'm thinking right now if I'm listening to everything that everyone has said. In terms of kicking off stuff, Arlene, in the future when basketball courts, whether it gets warm or he's allowed in the gym, is can he get extra time to do like 1,000 jump shots? That's something he can tick off. That takes a while. Mm-hmm. Inside out jump shot, step back jump shots, crossover jump shots, spin dribble jump shots, dribbling hard, stop on a dime jump shots, 3-point shots. All these things, jump to the side jump shot, jump to the back. So all these things you can tick off, and he can then say, okay, I'm proficient here, I'm proficient here, I'm proficient here, but I'm weak on the left side or I'm weak on the right side. I only made 20 out of 50. That's not good. I need to make 30 out of 50, 40 out of 50. Those are the metrics I'm talking about that I think what Wayne is alluding to that I needed to let you know about. Those are the simple things that he can do. And I'm sure he's going to get back to you. Kayla, I have some ideas, but I want to make sure I don't step on toes in terms of Kayla helping you. She's very proficient. So let me let those guys do their thing. But that's mental state of doing that stuff, knowledge increasing. Basketball intelligence takes experience, but you can watch and see some stuff and push-ups and all the stuff you can do right now. And then when the pandemic opens up just a little bit, the amount of jump shots you shoot, defensive work, sliding and stuff like that. I hope that helps. Wayne. Hope that helps, Leandrae.
Yes, it does. And then for the other part of what I've been working on is the sort of the exposure side of it.
Okay.
How to give yourself a competitive edge when it comes to exposure. So obviously, the Elite One recruiting platform, I did create that specifically to help, the young people that are in my care.
Yeah, it's a great tool. It's a great tool.
And now it's expanded. It's expanded to others, which is a great thing, but it was still intended for that reason. The only issue that we ran into is good game film.
Yeah.
And then we need good workouts. So because coaches know you can't fool people who know.
No.
Like I don't care if I did this right now and say, hey, I'm a great shooter, and I did that in front of Richard right now. You see Richard. We didn't even set that up. And his reaction is he just fell out. So that's the other challenge that we've had is helping our young people understand, well, how do you best sell yourself? What does that look like? And so we had a trial run at it at getting some great workout videos together. And I went back and I looked at it and I'm like, I'm gonna put these, some of these guys 2 steps back, and then we gotta bring them forward, because right now it's a very clean slate, in terms of your exposure. When coaches really see you for the first time, that's going to be their first time seeing you.
And you know what, Wayne? The question that Arlene had asked was about what she can do, because I can feel what she's saying. Arlene, you're on the right track with your son. Here's one of the things you can do on your own, hon, and it'll help you feel a bit more peace of mind. You've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. Number one, the platform that Wayne is talking about will be seen by folks. But until then, how about just you guys do your research? Just go and go online, look at Canadian universities. I don't know what he wants to study in university. Find the universities that have what he wants to study. What is their basketball team like? What's the name of that coach? And make a list. Okay, this university in Canada, this university in America. Okay, what's the name of the coach? That's his major. Okay, they offer that. Okay, number one. Number two, maybe we can find a game online. Okay, they run that type of offense. Am I good at? Can I do that? Okay, cross that list off, Arlene. Next thing you say, how far is it? Do I want my baby to be in California, or do I want my baby to be in Michigan, which is close? You can go see him. Cross that list off. There's little things you can do, Arlene, to make yourself feel like you've done everything. Because I feel what you asked earlier. I understand, if as a parent, what the struggle is there, hon. So I think you can do that as well. Be a part of the process. This platform is going to do a lot of all that stuff for you. He'll be exposed. It's just because of the pandemic you're feeling that way, and can you do more? I suggest those things. I suggest a little bit of those things.
Yeah.
And the field of study and what requirements it takes, ACT, SAT, to get into these places. So I don't know what his grades are like. Maybe he can go to Ivy League school. There's contacts there. There's all kinds of things open, Arlene. So if you want to feel that I felt it from you a while ago. You felt like, can I do more? Maybe do those things, occupy a little bit, and it'll give you more knowledge and understanding. Okay.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, thanks for that. I've started because
and I think
for the Canadian thing, I mean, you have to apply now, so to speak. So, some of these things I've had to start, and what you've recommended, and I've been thinking about it. Go look at the other universities in the States and see what that's all about. I think the fear for me was one of the things where you're talking about the the words where we're talking about their footage, or shots, picture, all that kind of stuff. That is what the challenge was, because he doesn't have any footage, he doesn't have anything, and I'm like, okay, so how do I do this? How do we do this? Because he doesn't have all these things that he needs in order to reach out to these universities. Right?
Yeah.
And that's where Wayne and them come into play.
And we are going to change that. And obviously, the pandemic has made our timeline and our ability to do that faster has really hurt. One of the things when Amanda did the workshop on your basketball resume and creating that, and how to craft really good emails that that can begin to sell who your character, your other qualities. I think that's the other thing. And so we've had that workshop, and we want to do some more with that. Amanda put together a phenomenal workshop that's another course we're going to be adding to our Basketball Training Alliance. The other one I want to bring up, and I want to bring it up very carefully, because sometimes people receive it the wrong way, but how about another year? I like using my own story, because I've finished high school in Calgary. I was going to be done, and I didn't get anything. Brandon University was the only option in front of me. And I told my parents, after watching the Metro All-Star game, I'm going to Toronto. Toronto had grade 13. I went to Toronto, and I got me the extra time. And the end result was a scholarship, because that was my goal. And so I wanted to say very carefully, I'm not saying that you must, but man, I know for sure if I got hit with a pandemic, I would have taken an extra year. But that's me personally. What are both of your thoughts on, getting a redo in there?
My thoughts on it. I would say, when I first started, the thought of an extra year, I really was not considering it. Especially even when the pandemic started, I was like, an extra year? I really don't. I didn't see the need for it. But now, with all that's being said, all the previous workshops that we've done, and now, it's just good to keep options open. And if an extra year is what's needed to achieve this goal, then I can't really rule it out. It's not fair for me to rule it out. Not fair to myself, not fair to you guys, not fair to my mother. That's what I think about it. So an extra year, if that's what needs to be done, then consider it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Mom, what about you?
Well, it's funny. I heard that comment, Wayne, that you did make it a couple weeks back when Leandrae asked a question during that one of those workshops, and I heard your comment about the extra year. And I was in the background, and I heard the comment, and I just kind of like, okay. But honestly, I really haven't thought about it that much. It's come up a couple of times. My thing is, what would an extra year look like for Leandrae, to be honest with you, because he's excelling in all of his courses. He's gonna finish, achieve all of his credits this term, really, and the next term will just be an extra 2. So yeah, I haven't really thought about it, and again, what would it look like is my question. What would it look like? What would this extra year look like? And I think if we can see that on paper, it will make it easier for me to make a pretty informed decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and you know what, I do believe that's something that I could definitely do. You have more of a deeper discussion. But I just find it kind of interesting, because I've spent a lot of years in the U.S., the last 9 years running my prep academy and stuff like that, and work with athletes in the U.S. And it's so funny because it's referred to as reclassifying. And I have athletes that I work with whose parents homeschool them in grade 8 and start them in high school a year later. they hold them back in middle school. So, and give them an extra year. They literally just, for that homeschool year, they do like just the basics, academically, and they just train for a year. And then they start high school in grade 9, with a year of training on their belt, and then reclassifying at different stages of high school based on where it is. And I'm only bringing that up because in the U.S., and we're starting to see more Canada, it's the business of basketball.
Yeah.
It's the business of getting a scholarship. It's the
Absolutely
business of building your brand as a basketball player. It's the business of positioning yourself to be a professional athlete.
And on that, Wayne, Leandrae and Arlene, I trained a kid by the name of Okay. He's a Turkish kid, Okay Jamgoose. He plays for Drake University right now, who's undefeated. Okay was rated as one of the top 3 best shooters in Canada. The kid can flat out shoot the basketball. And he went to Drake, and you know what they did? They redshirted that 1 year. And Kayla can talk about what a red shirt means, because I think she did that. So that's like an extra year. But he redshirted the first year, and the business, as Wayne is talking about, the coach says, I've got 3 guys coming in. I've got a senior class that's going out. These guys next year is going to add, value to my program. So he went to school for 1 year and played the next year. Now they're undefeated this year. So maybe Kayla can talk to you about red shirting. I don't know if you guys understand that term, but basketball pros who are great have done that. Programs that are great have red shirted a kid. He sits on the bench, practices, goes to school. They pay for everything the first year, and he plays the next year. So it's not strange what Wayne is posing. I understand your apprehension and your lack of knowledge and understanding of how this works. Wayne is going to help you with that, but it's not weird, my dear. It does help. Maybe Kayla can talk about her experience.
Kayla?
Yeah.
In terms of everything you're hearing so far, it's sound advice, and obviously, I think it's wise to have. If it works for you, I'm the same way. I like things on paper, so then I can organize my thoughts and make my decisions. So it's definitely, the more information you gain, I 100%. I think that's a great idea. And when it comes to red shirts, I'm redshirted due to a medical injury, but I know people personally. I know someone that is playing in a university, at Western Kentucky University. And when they brought her in, the coaches from day one knew they were going to redshirt her. And that was something that was established before she got there. And she spent a year, you could practice with the team, et cetera. But when it comes to playing in actual games, you do everything except that. And then now that she's a redshirt sophomore is what they'd call it, but it'd really actually be her first year playing. She's been doing well and producing. And I think like what Wayne and Richard is just kind of, I guess, really brainstorming in terms of what opportunities can Leandrae possibly have, knowing the fact that some of the things in terms of film and training with the pandemic has kind of, like you said, throw a wrench in the plans, because it's even difficult for someone to come in and do 1 or 2 years of prep and then go and everything's completely, like, in terms of no pandemic and everything. It's under perfect circumstances, it's still difficult in terms of having less experience and just coming in and having a year or 2 of great play. It's still not honestly a direct kind of correlation between getting to where you want. So there is room in terms of navigating the possibility of what just helps him build up his resume, continue to build up that confidence. And then if that's a decision that you do decide not to make, then it's just really managing your expectations and figuring out what realistically would happen with the body of work that he has now in terms of where he could fit. There's coaches that I could see picturing him, especially if he wanted to stay in Canada, that would be able to look at him and be like, this is some coaches like projects in terms of not undermining his talent, but seeing his talent in the long run turn into actual game productivity, even if they're not 100% sure now. So that is an option. And that's something that in terms of further communicating, especially with Wayne's network and things like that, that could be an avenue. But then there's also, like what Wayne and Richard are saying, a possibility of do your research and figure out what an actual year would look like for him in terms of would it be something that would enhance his academics, or would it just be a year of him kind of not doing too much in terms of that, because you want the balance of the academics and him being on the court and getting better. And then possibly if that can push him to a level that he might be looking to get to that's a little bit higher than the opportunities that he might get this time around. And that's really all it is. And none of us have a crystal ball, right? Which makes it difficult.
Yeah.
So especially as a parent, I'm not one. So I'm never ever going to try and tell you what would be a good or bad decision. And I really in terms of just helping people with decisions in my close inner circle. You got to do 100% what you're comfortable with, but you owe it to yourself. And you could throw Leandrae in there too, because it's about him, but especially you as a person that wants to go to bed at night and feel like you've done enough for your child. So to weigh the options and then see. But I would be open-minded to both, because there's an avenue where I think Leandrae is a smart kid. He's going to do great things regardless. But in terms of his goal to play basketball, there could be a potential adding another year that could help him. And if not, what can we do now to kind of put him in a position where the coach understands that this is a long-term type of thing in terms of his productivity and getting him to the point where they want him to contribute major minutes. And yeah, that's really about it.
Great stuff. Great stuff, guys.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that, Kayla. And that's the whole thing. I mean, I will support Leandrae in whatever decision he makes, and doing it for 17 years, and I'll continue to support whatever decision that he makes. But again, and I'm not saying no to it. Again, it's all about let's just see what it looks like. So at least we know what we're going towards, and we know that if it doesn't work out, at least we know that we did it, and that's pride, right? And that's all it's about.
That's fair.
Well, I like that, and Kayla, Richard, but Kayla, Kayla and I are going to have a conversation, because we have a shared responsibility with Leandrae, and I think that I think it would be worth it to put together what an extra year looks like for a good academic student, or the couple of options, because I think I do take it for granted that in my mind, I know what that looks like, and like at every level. I have great stories. Kelly Olynyk, end of the bench at Gonzaga, 1 year red shirt, leave lottery pick, almost leaving school early. What 1 year of just focusing on his body and his development did. And so maybe it's a plan like that, where it's like he's so solid academically. Maybe it's just, maybe it's a whole year just to work on him, who he is physically. Maybe it's keeping his mind sharp and keeping his body sharp. And I think if we as our responsibility as people who are guiding both of you will be to come up with the structured plans that you have the ability to make an informed decision on. So I like that challenge for us. I think that's great. And we'll definitely do our part to sort of get you something as soon as possible, to help that out. So thank you. That's been great.
Yep.
As far as wrapping it up, we like to wrap it up. Just, any last questions you have for us, just from our different types of experiences and background. And then Leandrae, we always close out. We give you an opportunity to give your thank yous and, show your appreciations to whoever, you'd like to. So first of all, any last questions?
Last questions from me. No, none right now. Everything that I wanted to ask has really been answered. For me, there's really none.
Awesome. Mom, any last questions from you?
No, I think I've touched on everything. I think for me, this would be, just for Leandrae, it really is that I think one thing that we have to work on and master, so to speak, and Wayne, you've touched on it is the discouragement aspect of the game, and not only the game, in life in general. We cannot be discouraged, because every mistake is a lesson.
That's right.
There are no mistakes. If we miss a shot, it's meant to teach us something. And
that's right.
That's what right. You need to. If any advice from a parent would be, that's what you need to remember. That not to be too hard on yourself. It's okay. There's nothing wrong if you lose that shot. There's nothing wrong if the guy outruns you. There's nothing wrong if he dunks on you. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's a lesson. It's a lesson. It's always a lesson, and you have to always keep that in mind, that this is always a lesson. There's nothing wrong. You just continue your journey.
Good wise words. Good wise words.
Yeah, that is some wisdom, and that applies to everything. Like even I'm thinking about right now. You know, that you know, what situation does that not apply to? So
everything.
I appreciate hearing that from you. Just reiterating that.
Yeah.
For me.
Let me just say thank you. I'm sorry. Let me just say thank you both. It's a pleasure to have met you two guys. And as you can see, I'm full of energy. I'm all about it all the time. And
oh yeah,
you have to be like me. I just want you to do well. I want to go get it. I want to see it happen. That's just who I am. And I hope you get some of my energy, and I hope you learn something. And I want to, like I tell every young person, you know, I understand, and I love you, and I want you to understand that we care, and that you're going to do well. And you know, we're behind you. You're going to do well.
Awesome, Kayla.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. There's a good book. I don't know how much you like to read. Either Arlene or Leandrae. I think I recommend it for either if you're an athlete or if you're a parent that is kind of helping an athlete go through this process. It's a book by just called Training Camp: What the Best Do Better Than Everyone Else. I read this. This is a book that before I went to Xavier, our coach put on a reading list for us, and we read. And it really digs into the mental aspect in terms of preparation, meditation, just things that aren't always said and done from a coaching and training perspective, because we're always focusing on skill development. You can get it in an audio book. I personally have a hard copy, but that is an example of like what I was saying in terms of just doing things to train your mind, because it's equally as important as what you're going to continue to do and grow your skills. But that's a great book. I recommend. My fiance, who plays in the CFL, and he's been a professional for 3 years now, even him sometimes figuring out what motivates him, what discourages him. He read it and he started doing, like in the book, they talk about waking up in the morning and meditation and different aspects of controlling your mind through certain situations. And he really, after I recommended that book to him, he recommended to a bunch of people too. So 2 athletes that have read it and have taken something away from it. And I looked online, you can purchase an audiobook or a hard copy, but that's an example of, if you're like me, sometimes I like to be able to take stuff home in terms of homework, or just after a conversation, have something tangible. When we spoke to an athlete the other day, I gave an example of some athletes to look up. So for me, I think from our conversation, that'd be something that you could look into. And if you do decide to read it, let me know your thoughts on it after, if you get a chance.
He's getting the book tomorrow. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. It's good. It's really, really
training camp with John Gordon. That's what's on our ticket right there. Okay, Leandrae, I'm going to tell you that I really appreciate you. You know, you supported and jumped on our workshops when, you know, we did working on the youth mental wellness. And, you know, since you've come here, you've been a perfect example of how to be a student athlete. You know, our relationship with Phase One's relationship was bond. It's such a sensitive relationship because it's new, and you know, having athletes like student athletes like yourself that carry yourself with such great character has allowed that the relationships between bond and Phase One to really be forged a lot stronger and tighter. Arlene as well too, now a part of our parent committee that's developing and you know, getting involved in the culture of both the school and Phase One Academy. I just really wanted to say how much I appreciate both of you very much, and absolutely I will continue to work my hardest to make things happen for you all. You know, for you, Leandrae. You know, and so you have my commitment on that. Any last thank yous and shout outs before we get out of here?
Last thank yous. I'd like to thank all of you, Mr. Stewart, Dawkins, Kayla. I'd like to thank all of you, and you know, you have my commitment as well, right? Like, if you hadn't created the relationship that you did with the academy, then you know, I really wouldn't be here today. Wouldn't be sitting here beside my mom having this conversation, right? So it's really all thanks to you, and all thanks to my mom. So yeah.
Good job.
Good job. Thank you. That was okay. You know what? That's it. That's another Elite One recruiting show.
Oh, and thank you all, guys. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
I really, really do appreciate this and having this conversation with you guys and hearing your recommendations and getting the input. It's priceless, and I really want to thank you guys and BP1, Trudy. I'm doing my shout outs now.
Yeah, Trudy's gonna be happy to hear that.
I know, right? Thank you. God bless
Yeah.
you guys. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
I'm gonna work on trying not to interrupt Kayla. I'm gonna work on that. That's my next thing, because I get some ideas. I'm like, I gotta say it.
Now you can't interrupt Kayla, because when she speaks, it's so profound.
Yes.
That we gotta mute everybody. And
everything that comes in her mouth is like,
we gotta stop everything. So we can't, yeah. So thank you. So we'll share that.